Okay.
Can you swear to that?
Yep. Live streaming.
Okay. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live.
Yep. It's on my end. It says it's streaming now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's not belabor the point that it sucks and it's stupid. I would say, let's say, what are some other options? Definitely discuss the issue.
Yes.
But let's let Conrad play to his strengths for sure. And you too,
Sure.
Jay, from a mindset standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we're getting started, today is the 21st of April. It's a Tuesday. This is Suzanne Johns. This is the Business First Responders. I'm here with Jake Jordan, Jay Maymi, and Conrad. Conrad never has his last name on his screen. So say it.
It's Prince.
He's actually incognito, man. But what we are here for is we're here because there are so many businesses struggling right now. And we were just talking about stimulus packages. And of course, Conrad is our resident banker and commercial banker. And we really want, nobody has a magic ball. Nobody can see the future. Nobody knows what Congress is actually going to do, since Nancy won't bring back everybody until May something. What was it, the 8th, I believe? And they won't even vote on anything until they actually get there. So since they're not doing virtual voting. So Conrad, can you tell us what you're seeing from your side with your businesses that you're working with?
Yeah, actually, Suzanne, so just as you were speaking, it looks like about 20 minutes ago, the Washington Post just said that Congress actually reached an agreement, $484 billion for the stimulus package to go to President Trump to sign, which he said he would sign into law. We'll see if that actually happens and when it happens. If so, it appears $310 billion will actually go back to fund the Paycheck Protection Program, which was overrun with applications, and a lot of people missed the boat. So there will definitely be a second wave, at least per the internet, of course, the Washington Post and what they've stated. So we'll definitely see it, and it was an eye opener to say the least, because a lot of people were kind of sitting around, and not that they were sitting around, but the banks were struggling to get all the applications in and follow the processes and the procedures. And I'm not going to lie, we had very limited information, and the banks were kind of left to interpret the guidelines and the program and how to do it. We certainly want to help as many people as we can, but at the end of the day, we still also have to protect ourselves as well to make sure that the SBA is going to actually buy these loans from the banks. So some banks are interpreting them, more deeper than others, my bank included. We want to definitely be a little conservative to make sure that when we do sell these loans back that we're writing, that the government's actually going to buy them back. So we want to make sure that we're following their rules. And so we ask a lot of people to be patient. We know it's hard because, as I said before, this is different. This is a crisis that we're dealing with. The banks are actually open, but the businesses are closed. So people are looking to the banks to be, relief or to try to help them, in a time of need. And I've heard horror stories about banks, basically just shutting their doors on people, being like, "Hey, sorry, there's nothing I can do for you," which is terrible. But some of those bigger banks should be opening their door. They should be opening their checkbooks to help people. Let's face it, the banks have a lot of the money. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a bank owner. I'm just an employee of a bank.
Come on. Why not?
To say that we're leaving people out cold on the street, is terrible. And my bank, we are a community bank, First Guarantee Bank, and we pride ourselves in helping our current customers to build those relationships and not close the door and be a resource. Say, hey, we can try to help you. We're giving relief loans. We're helping with the PPP loans, as many as we can. But not every bank is like that. So I certainly understand the frustrations that a lot of people are actually happy, because it's like, if your bank is shutting the door on you, where do you go and what do you do? So that's the reality of it. And I really do hope that with this new round of funding that does go into effect hopefully soon, that a lot more people actually get the help that they need. And yeah, we've heard bigger companies getting, the $10 billion, maxing out the maximum, and turning around because of bad publicity, turning around and giving it back. I think Shake Shack and Roots Chris,
Right.
Yeah, Shake Shack. and that's great, but at the end of the day, hey, the government is handing out free money. Everyone's got their hands out. What are we supposed to do? We can't discriminate because a big corporation applied for a loan, and but banks need to also be held responsible as well too, and help everybody, not just their big clients. So and that's where people are voicing their frustration. I've received a lot of phone calls that, hey, my bank is not responding to me. Can you help me? And I'm helping them and giving them as much information as I can, but I'm also limited as well too. I mean, until my bank changes its policies and we can help non-customers, I'm to who I can help.
Well, and you can't blame it. You guys have to help your constituents, or what do you want? Your clientele first, and that would be expected. What I have tried so hard to tell the business owners that I work with is, whatever you do, stay away from working with those larger banks, because when things get tight, times get tough, guess what? You're the little guy, no matter what. And you are not going to be first on the list. So if you're working with your local banker that cares about his community, which that's you, that's why you're here, Conrad, because you care about your community, and they care about whether or not they have health with the businesses they work with, that's where you've got to be. That's the most important thing. If you're going to be a business owner, you have to make that cognitive decision from day one, not now when things are like, oh my God, it's got to be done from the day you open the business. So, that's what I advise always.
Well, you got to remember too, Suzanne, people that, that friendly reminder, hey, you get what you pay for, just because you're looking for the most convenient and cheapest thing for your business, which is for your bottom line overall, may not always be the best, and sometimes it behooves you to pay a little bit more to get the service that you need. So, you're not always going to be able to get both. You're not going to get the cheapest and the best service with the best product. You're always going to have to sacrifice one or the other. So you're going to have to choose which one that is. And we just don't know what's more important.
It reminds me of car insurance, right? You can get really cheap car insurance that'll get you across the road, right? But when it comes time that you have a problem, you need somebody that with a relationship and with a relationship equity that you built, so that they can make decisions based on your relationship, not just the numbers, right?
That's right.
And so I know that's been true for me. And one of the things that I've been seeing also is the relationship aspect of it, not just in banking, just as you as a business owner. Now is the time to deepen relationships, because when it comes time to do business again, I'm still selling. I've had 2 client calls this week, right? And they were like, we have money and we still need to keep going. How can we do this, right? I'm working out payment plans with some people, but that's fine, right? But so as long as you're keeping those relationship doors open, I think you're doing the right thing. Jay, I know mindset's a huge thing right now about how you're looking at the world. And to me, relationship is a great place to start.
I agree. And one of the things that I think is business owners have to be very careful is that as you're looking at your own particular struggle and your challenges and the answers and solutions and what you're going to deal with all that reality, that you could lose focus on the client relationship building, because clients need to know that you're still around. And here's what I can caution business owners, entrepreneurs, business owners. You may be mentally checked out, emotionally checked out, reality checked out because of the circumstances that we're in, but your client hasn't checked out.
No.
Client can easily become an orphan if they think you've checked out because you've not reached out to them, you've not sent them, hey, I'm still here, still fighting, whatever service you provide. If you don't become more in tune with them now more than ever, just to let them know, hey, I'm here, which is challenging, but I'm here. Someone else is going to speak beautiful music in their ears.
That's right. That's right.
And they're going to sweet talk them. They're going to sweep them off their feet and go elsewhere.
Yep.
Just because they weren't sure if you were going to be here or not in 30, 60, 90 days. So they're making their own plans already. So it's very important to be able to keep your customers and clients not only encouraged, but also with the recognition that, hey, you're still there for them. You've not checked out. And that's part of my encouragement to anyone who's running a business.
Yeah, I was talking to a client earlier about a content marketing plan that we've been working on that kind of stalled out. And he was like, well, we should, maybe we should delay on this a little bit because blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. People are sucking up content online. And guess who people are going to do business with when the doors back open up? The people who are consistently still around, who are still showing up in social, still showing up in blogs, still showing up in a podcast, talking about things and just being open. That's the people you're going to be looking to when, time comes to floodgates come open again, right?
Yeah. Well, let me give you guys.
Yeah. What?
Let me give you one thing. A staggering percentage that is from a conversation I had last Friday with the chairman of the Dallas Restaurant Association. She told me that they are predicting, and more than likely correct, that of the small businesses that are in restaurants that are mom and pops, 40% are going to go out of business. 40%. That's an oh my God number. So, we've got to do something for them to understand that they've got to be doing what Jay said, re-engaging everybody and getting them to know they're still going to have their doors open when it's time to come back. Because they told me, this lady's very brilliant, and she goes, let me tell you something, the average business owner has 14 days of float. That's it.
Wow.
14 days. Well, guess what? When we hit May 1st, we're on day 40. What does that tell you? Huge.
Yeah, I agree, Suzanne. And I hate to push negative news, but I actually think the 40% number is going to be a little bit higher than that, especially when it comes to restaurants. Because the restaurant industry in general is already one of the riskiest industries, as far as from a lending standpoint. So, but that's the difficult part, and you're right. And it doesn't just limit it to restaurants. You're right. I've seen a lot of financials in the last, 35 days. People, that 14-day is pretty accurate, and after that 14 days, when the Paycheck Protection Program ran out of funds, they were like, what am I going to do? Right. I don't know what to do. I don't have any money coming in. I'm losing business. I still have to pay my light bill, all these things, expenses. And right. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It was some of the most difficult conversations I've ever had in my 20-year banking career. And I lost some sleep, because again, if this program doesn't get refunded again, a lot of people out there aren't going to have money to buy groceries or pay their utilities, and luckily we're in a pretty good spot here in Texas. I read a lot of the cities around here are postponing or delaying some of the payments for that utility, which are very important, which is great, and I think to your point, it is a community thing. Everybody's got to do a little bit for everybody, sacrifice a little bit so that we can all come back from this together and as humanity, to help each other out. And that includes all businesses, banks, and the light bills, the light companies and the gas companies, so I think that, we can definitely get through this together.
Well, and mindset, Jay, yours is so important because of mindset. I mean, what you believe is what is going to become. And nobody knows that better than you and trains on it better than you. And so give us they have to have something tangible to at least work with, because everybody's got to have hope. And then now what?
Well, it's just funny you mention that, because one of the talks I gave a few days ago was based on exactly what you just said. The recognition of the reality, what I call the moment of misery, the muck and mire of misery that you're in, but not to stay there, because the challenge is when you stay there, you lose creativity. So one of the exercises that I would encourage is, if you're a restaurant owner, to stay positive. And I just had this conversation with someone who runs a dessert in Plano, and I was on Facebook with them, and they're a brand new business, just opened up about 3 months ago. They were booming, dead, right? So the 14-day savings is, I don't know, they probably have 7 days worth of savings, right? Because they're just getting off the ground.
Right.
So I'm chatting with him, and I was saying to him, so what's your menu going to look like when people start coming back? Tell me what you're going to do different in the menu to sort of highlight a season of recovery or a season of jubilation? What's it going to look like? And I forced him to down the road. I said, what's it going to look like down the road once you reopen? And that really, it was challenging for him to think along those lines because he's thinking about, I may not be open next Monday. So I'm forcing him to think about, what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do down the road that's going to make the business fun again? And what are the sort of the little nuances that you're going to do differently that you weren't doing now? And let's talk about that, because ultimately, if you get yourself in a position where you draw in tomorrow, and there's a skill in that, it's having the knowledge and the faith that you can draw in tomorrow, but you have to have something in the tomorrow to look forward to.
Right.
And that's all about the mindset. So whether it's a restaurant owner, I would say, what's your menu going to, what's a brand new item you're adding on your menu? Up. Yeah, I know it looks bleak right now, but what's that brand new menu? What's it going to look like? How are you going to redesign the place, or how are you going to make it more appealing? What's your first special? What's your first special?
Yeah. That's
To really get them a chance to get out of that place. But whether it's restaurant or it's something else. I mean, I know a guy who does telephone service for small businesses, and the businesses don't need a telephone service because they're not even open right now.
right.
So I was telling him, so what are you going to do differently? How are you going to rebrand yourself? Let's talk about what you will look like when the recovery ends, so that you're not caught mentally flat-footed, which is where I believe a lot of people will find mentally flat-footed, not even ready for the surge once business is open again. So you got to put yourself down the road.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I love that, because the brain science side of it says you can't hold two thoughts at once. Like your brain physically can't hold two, right? So it's not just mindset, it's science, right? Which is super cool to know this actually works. That's why one of the things that I talk about a lot too is if you ever get down on what, even not during this time, right? When you get down, go serve somebody, because when you're serving somebody else, you can't think about your own misery, right? So I love that. So my question was, that's it. There's a lot of hours in the day, right? And so you hear people go, okay, I get that. I've done that. But there's another 8 hours. Like, what am I supposed to do all day? Is daydream, right? That's one thing we can do. What are some other things, like Conrad, for example? Like, I'm really curious what you're telling people. There's going to be a lot of people that don't get loans, a lot of people. So what are some other things that you're going to tell them that, and I'd be curious from each of y'all, like what's some other things you're telling people? If you don't get that money, then what?
Well, that's their pivot.
That's it. You're right. Exactly right, Suzanne. That pivot is, what are you going to do if you don't get these funds, right? And your business is not earning any income whatsoever. No money's coming in the door. What are you going to do? You close up shop, file bankruptcy? I mean, this is some tough questions that people really have to internalize and figure it out. And I've actually had a lot of conversations like, well, what else can I do? And like I mentioned before, I had a lot of customers that, they're going back to their first day job, or they're pivoting to their first career. Like, hey, I had a lot of people going back to the insurance game, or something else that's a little bit more stable. But at the same time too, I've had those conversations where people realize, my industry is not stable. It's just not stable. I need to be doing something so that if this happens again, I'm not going to be left with nothing, because that's what a lot of people are going to be left with, And like I said, my bank, we're trying to help as many as we can. Customers, we're offering a COVID-19 relief loan for existing business customers. Non-business customers, we're offering a $5,000 personal COVID relief loan, just to say, hey, here's some money, buy some groceries. So we're doing our part within the community, and that's why I mentioned before. It takes a village. It takes everybody to pitch in and try to help out. And I know a lot of churches in the area are also trying to do the same thing, offering free childcare for essential relief workers. So there's a lot of things that people can do, but you're right. To answer that question, it's like, I can't help you to tell you what you need to do, how to make money. It's tough because you have to want to do it. But at the same time, I'm willing to provide you with at least some relief, some guidance as far as banking goes. Try to say, hey, we're here for you, my bank. If you have an account with us, we're not charging overdraft fees. We're not charging standard fees. So there's things that we're doing as a community bank to help those in the community. But a lot of it, like Jay said, it's got to kind of internalize, and you got to put your mind to, what is it that I'm going to do?
Change causes, when you have a change in circumstances, necessity feeds imagination.
Mhm.
So that creates your new pivot. You know, you need to think about what are the other things that I'm really good at? What is it that I have a second passion for? I know the first passion was probably that restaurant that you just opened up, but now we need that second passion, and surely you've got more than just one. Or ask somebody that's close to you, what is it that you see that I have that I just don't see it? And they're usually the ones that, you know, anytime I need the honest to God truth, I ask my husband. And you know what? He tells me. I'm like, you know, I didn't think about that. Shoot, really?
Somebody asked me one time what I was passionate about, you know, and actually it stumped me. I was not ready to answer that question. What am I truly passionate about, you know, and you meet a lot of people out networking and those types of things. And if you ask them, you can just tell like somebody that's passionate about what they do and they love doing it. And if you were doing something that you weren't passionate about prior to COVID-19, maybe this is your opportunity to do that. Get out there and do something that you're passionate about, whether it's, you know, coaching football or teaching small children how to ride, but whatever it might be, that, you know, whatever you're passionate about, it won't feel like work. You just got to be able to make sure you get paid to do it.
Yeah. And I do some mentoring for scaling startups. And one of the things that the standard things that people will ask is, hey, I've got this startup idea, or I've started this thing, but I can't quite leave yet. What do I do? And I think this applies now too, is I don't think you have to give up the thing that you love. I think you have to find a way to make cash until you can go back to it, right? Because if the restaurant's your thing, and it's particularly, Jay, like the people in Plano that were doing so well, right? It's like, how can we find ways to make cash like we're a startup again, so that we can reseed that, because clearly it was working or whatever. And people that like you're saying, Conrad, that like, oh, I'd really like to be an entrepreneur. I'd really like to go off and to do this. You know, a lot of the people that I follow and that mentored me said, keep your day job until you have to quit your day job, because your thing's taking over and you can't not feed it anymore. So I think it's just another time. This is another time to have that type of mentality. Is like, I'm kind of starting back where I was, and that's okay, because lots of people are doing that. It's not necessarily my fault, you know?
You know, one of the things that you know, I'm sorry, Con, you were going to say?
Oh,
Sure, go right ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Now, what I was that, you know, for those that are watching the show and will be catching it as a recording, I want to make sure the message is clear. It's not that we're saying, hey, get ready to jump ship, bail out of what you're doing.
Right.
You know, if you've got time invested in whatever it is, whatever business you've built, and you've got passion in it, and you really are committed, you're all in, then you see that through, right? You will see that through. However, wisdom says, start building a contingency plan.
Mm-hmm.
So don't jump ship. You stay on the ship, but you start looking for the life raft.
that's right.
To have a life raft, right? Because if the ship goes down, it won't go down because you didn't give it your all to keep it afloat. You did all you could, but you need to get on a life raft, and that life raft is the contingency plan. And I want to echo, Suzanne, what you said. You said find, and Conrad said the same thing, and Jordan, Jake said, passion, right? It's great to find your passion, but a passion that can be monetized. Okay, because there's a difference between having a passion that's a hobby and a passion that can be monetized, because at the end of the day, you still have to pay your bills and make a living, right? So I encourage you to find that passion, but the passion has to be monetizable, if there's such a word as that. You have to be able to monetize that. But let me give you two more things I think are important as you're creating the contingency plan, the life raft, right? Number one, I would encourage you to start thinking about
He went.
You could develop. Maybe you are good at something else, and it's good what you were good at. It's okay to revisit what you were good at before you got involved in a business, or something else that you're good at that you can also convert into a business. Maybe you're not passionate about it, but it provides a solid business. Okay. But it could also be something that you had a new skill to develop. What is a new can develop that could open up a whole new industry, a whole new platform? You have a new skill, HR, and her business is struggling. So she calls me up, she finds me on LinkedIn, and she says to me, she sees that I'm a speaker and I'm an author and all this other stuff. and I thought she was soliciting me for her HR business.
Oh,
So I'm waiting for the pitch.
oh,
No, I called you and I'm thinking, here we go. Here's the pitch. She says, because I know you want to learn how to speak better because I want to get in front of groups to do speaking that's going to help me revamp my HR or do some other things if my HR business flattens out. Well, she's developing a new skill of the skill of speaking. That's what I mean about learning a skill that maybe you never thought you would have to learn, but by learning, it opens up a whole new world of opportunities. That's something that's a contingency plan. Let me give you another contingency plan. Don't be lazy. Research the industries that have great future potential and explore those. Right, Suzanne? Like
right.
Suzanne, the epitome of that. She saw this about 30, 40, 50 days ago, and she said, okay, right now, the future could be in the business brokerage, and she made a pivot because she did the homework and the research to be able to make a wise decision as to where her attention and time now is going to be invested in. Is that true?
That's correct. That is correct. That is correct.
And I'll give you one last one.
About 90 days ago. It was about 90 days ago.
Yeah, 90. So you did some research, some thinking about, okay, so what's a future industry that is expected to boom or a particular product or service? And let me get into that one early and exploit it. But let me give you this last one that I think this is key. Create a think tank. I believe that people, when they collectively get together and allow the minds to be in alignment, brilliance comes out of it. Like this is the think tank. We're a think tank. Well, if you're a business owner that's struggling right now, when you're thinking about that life raft, that contingency, I would encourage you. There's a ton of other people like that. Find them, create a think tank, and who knows, maybe between the 2, 3, 4 of you, you come up with the next new great product that turns you into millionaires.
Well,
right.
That makes sense?
That's how come I got the four of us together. I decided when I came up with this, I wanted to make sure that I pulled together people I didn't normally network with all the time. I wanted to have different areas so that we all had a different point of view. We had a different reach, and that way it would get more people involved, and then we could affect more things that could happen in a good way. So that's what I was thinking. And people need to do the same thing. Just don't pick your family to get, they're not going to take, first of all, half the time, they're not going to tell you the truth. Or if they do, it's the brutal truth that you didn't want to know. That would be my mother. For sure, that'd be my mother. Anyway, I digress. But that's what you need to do. I don't care if it's in, you probably don't want to pick your neighbor or the guys you play baseball with or whatever it is. But you need a group, like you're saying, Jay, that can mastermind with you and pitch you ideas, and everybody can come up with a plan. And it doesn't have to be that we all 4 do something together or 2 do it together or even 3, but it might be something that, hey, you know what? You would be good doing this. I probably wouldn't, but you would. Why not?
Yeah, Jay, I love that idea, and I've actually leveraged it as well because I've been in masterminds before, and it's been some of my biggest personal growth. And so I have small 10-person groups where we each week have a topic and we pick a goal and we all just encourage and challenge each other all week. And it's something I do over on a different part of my business, but I said, hey, this is a time that I need to leverage smart people. So put everybody together and let's do it. And so I've got 2 groups of 10 running right now. And I'm more just facilitating, but as you probably know, when you facilitate, you learn as much or more than the people that you've got in the group because you got access to so much more. So I think that's a fantastic idea. I'm doing it right now. So
Definitely agree with that.
Now, Jake, considering that you have created and you're part of these groups, how would you advise someone? Because if you have a listener right now, and as I was thinking about this, it hit me. I said, well, you could have someone that's listening to the meeting, to our podcast right now, and says, that's a great idea. How do I do it? How do I start? You having 10 of them, what advice would you give to someone who wants to create a think tank? How to get started?
Yeah. So, I mean, what Suzanne's right. You need to pick the right people. That's a huge part of it. I love the idea of taking people that you don't normally network with, you don't normally brainstorm with, get different ideas, because when you surround yourself with the same people, you get the same results, right? You read the same books all the time, you get the same results.
Right.
So I would say pick out people that you respect that you don't normally get to spend time with. And then the second thing is have a format, have something that when everyone gets there, they all know why they're there, and you enforce it. Because one of the biggest problems I always ran into when we were doing mastermind groups back in real estate investing was that people would want to talk about their deals. But the point of the group was to bring a problem with your business,
Right.
not your real estate deals. And you have to say, okay, great, we can talk about that offline, but here's what this is for today. And let's keep talking about it. And so I can tell you the way mine's set up is we have a weekly call together for an hour. Everyone gets to bring up one topic that they're having an issue with, and we all just brainstorm, just shoot ideas off each other. During the week, we're in a group, and you can talk as much as you want about anything you want. And we have two channels. One's a channel for here's today's topic, and another channel for here's chat away. So that way you can always find the content you need, and you can always chat anytime you need. And then we get together once a week. And that's it. That's the whole format. It's very simple. I picked 10 because everyone doesn't always show up. So at least you have 5 or 6 people talking all the time.
Sure.
And then I picked 2 groups. I have 2 of those going because one of them's more spiritual and one of them's more business, right? And so it's just, here it is. I've got people around me that are going to tell me what I need to hear, hopefully.
That's a good idea.
Suzanne, would you say, just picking up on what Jake said, would you recommend that those individuals or those groups or those participants in a think tank or in a mastermind group be from different industries or the same industry?
No, I think from Jake's point, I would do 2 groups, one in my industry and one that's not. That way you have a separation of mindset. I rarely do a think tank with a bunch of realtors because I don't think in their box. First of all, I believe in, being able to do a lot of different things instead of just this or just that. So I don't fit well in that box, and I know that of myself. But as far as I want a bunch of other industries because everybody has different types of problems, and they can probably have something to do with what I might run into as well. So I just feel like it gives me a more well-rounded education.
Yeah, I think you can simplify it too, because I mean that there's a lot to it. That could sound overwhelming, what I just described. I think if you just picked 3 or 4 people and just committed to meet once a week on a Zoom call, and then just left the channel open to chat, I think that could help you leaps and bounds too. And that would just be a matter of all agreeing to meet someplace, on a Zoom call, and then during the week chat as much as you want. So you can take it as far as you want to go, but it doesn't have to be hard. The idea is you need someone, even if it's only for 2 minutes every day, if you need to ask a question, there's somebody there that will be willing to at least give you their thoughts.
And it doesn't, if you keep everything on Zoom, even after we can all get together again, then you can have people from all over the place. This is 15 years ago, but I know you all know who Gary V is, right? Vaynerchuk.
Yep.
I used to be in a mastermind with Gary V. So, and he's in New York City. That worked fine for me. At that time, I was in California.
Yep, totally.
What are the final notes that we're going to leave our viewers and our listeners with? We covered, I was writing notes here on our content, and I'm thinking there's a lot of good nuggets that we spoke about, starting off with Conrad and giving us an update on the banking situation and some hopeful news, right? But why don't we go around and just leave 1 or 2 thoughts so that there is, as we leave the show, the viewer can say, you know what, great content, but I can walk away with this 1 point. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, I mean, I'll probably end on what we just talked about. I think there's a ton of value in multiple touch points, getting in front of people that you don't normally get in front of to just continually talk about this. I think it's super valuable. I do it anyway, even when it's not this type of time. But this type of time, it's even more important that you're doing everything you can to flush out the bad with people, encourage each other, and just get new ideas. So I'd say go find a way, or hit me up. I'll help you set one up. I mean, I'm happy to help anybody set one up that wants one. Or you can, I do them once a month. You can join one of mine. It's not a pitch. It's just what I'm doing. So I'd say get yourself in a group that can help.
Conrad?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I think, with the second round of the Paycheck Protection Program, those that have kind of lost faith in their current bank, I will share a list of banks that I know of that are accepting new customers. Amity Bank, Bank of the West, Origin Bank, Regions Bank, Southside Bank, and Texas Security Bank. And again, that's just Texas DFW market. As far as the continental United States, I think Lendio.com is a good place to go to, as well as Heartland Payroll Solutions. I also know are taking non-customers. So if you need additional resources, please feel free to instant message me. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. But don't give up. Try to continue to find a resource and find somebody that can help you. Because again, I have a feeling that these monies are going to go faster even the second time. So it's best to prepare now.
So get on the ball is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's it. I would say that listen to your heart and find your second passion so that you have a pivot. And I've always believed in focus. However, times are changing and things have proven that we better have a dual focus so that whatever it is, if we have something else happen again, or, God forbid, whatever, you've got something you can fall back on so that you're not stuck in this situation again. We should have learned that in 2008, and of course we did not. And so now I think it's become a little bit more clear that we need to do that.
Guys, I can leave you with my personal note that all of the highlights of what we spoke about earlier with think tanks and finding your passion and developing a new skill really all have the common theme of making sure that you stay in the fight, you give it all you've got. If you're going to go down, you go down swinging, but make sure that you've got that contingency plan within eyesight. So as your fight ends and it doesn't pan out the way you'd like, you can hop into your contingency plan immediately.
Right.
Yep.
Just have it humming along in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate all of your insights today, and I hope that everyone that's listening appreciates that as well. And each one of us, you can reach out to us, especially there on our Facebook page. Business First Responders is our Facebook page. You can leave us a message, and we will definitely get back with you so that if you have something you want some help with, or you'd like some ideas or whatever it is, we're happy to try and help if we can. All right, I'm Suzanne. This is Jake, Jay, and Conrad, and we hope you come back and see us again. Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.
Now all we gotta do is figure out how to stop the recording. When we are amateurs at this, we're not so good. Jake, can you stop it? Because you're one of the editors on the channel.
I think you have to stop it from Zoom.
Oh, goody. All righty.
Yep.
So
Just
just,
started it there. We can just leave.
end the meeting.
Just shut the meeting down. It'll stop.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's hope it doesn't kill our recording.
No,
Thank
it'll be
you.
fine.